Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome back as well to Hybrid Studios and the Coliseum. This is episode 2 of the Coliseum and a very, very special episode of the Coliseum, an episode that we will only get to do once a year. NFL Predictions Week, the first NFL Predictions Week on Hybrid Studios, so we are super pumped to be going through all of this today. We are specifically going to be picking division winners from each division, which will kind of give us our playoff format, and then I'll be throwing in other predictions as we go as well, but don't want to get too caught up in the intro here. We'll be using Fanatics Sportsbooks for our odds and just kind of the format and blueprint of the video today. Yes, I am aware there is a game tonight, / there was a game last night by the time that you see this, but hopefully nothing insane happened and pretty much everything will follow suit to what we predict today. So nothing really should be affected here. And if there is something insane, then I'll put that in post. So yeah, as I said, welcome in and welcome back to Hybrid Studios and to the Coliseum episode 2, our very first NFL Predictions Week. Okay, so I'm going to go through this on my phone. I just have this recording straight up from the Fanatics Sportsbook app, which is my preferred app, just out of curiosity, if you are wondering. I did use FanDuel for a long time. That is a whole different story that I will tell at some point, I suppose, if it is something that is interesting to you guys. But I do not use FanDuel anymore, certainly, and Fanatics is the way to go. So, no sponsorship there, but we'd love it if you guys are watching by chance. Would definitely take one of those in any format that it is available. But with all that being said, let's get into the predictions. So the first one that Fanatics has listed is the AFC West. This is actually a pretty tough one. This is one that I would have preferred to kind of talk about later on in the episode once I got going, because this one is still one that I'm tossing around in my mind as we speak. It's hard not to take the Chiefs because they've won it 7 or 8 years in a row. And as I came in here to look, the Broncos are pretty appealing as well. But believe it or not, I'm actually going to take the Chargers. The Chargers are led by Jim Harbaugh, who is absolutely a winner every single place that he's gone, NFL or college. He's the rare coach that can actually go back and forth and win in both places, college and the NFL, as we are seeing with Bill Belichick right now and saw with Nick Saban as well the other way around whenever he went to the NFL. It is not an easy transition to make, but Harbaugh's in general have been able to do that and have been successful overall, Jim being obviously much more so whenever it comes to being successful at both ranks. Why do I have them as the division winner? Because Jim Harbaugh and the style of play that they use with running the ball, Amarian Hampton drafted in this year's draft, plus Najee Harris, who is like not even listed, he's not even starting. They just casually have him as a second battering ram, or whenever he eventually becomes healthy and is with the team full time, maybe he'll start and it'll be Amarian Hampton that gets to come in and clean up. But regardless, they are going to run the ball, they are going to control the clock, and then when they do throw on those really wide open play action passes, they have Justin Herbert, who I'm not a big fan of. I think he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL, to be honest. But that being said, in this system of ball control, run the clock, he's going to have wide open receivers all over the field, and he's extremely talented, generally speaking. And so I do think that that's going to translate. I do also think the Chiefs are going to be really good, so I'm actually going to take the Chargers and the Chiefs to both go to the playoffs from this division. And the Broncos to be left on the outside looking in, although I don't think that they're going to be bad either. There could end up being 3 teams from this division in the playoffs, in my opinion. We're going to go all the way down to the AFC North, another relatively tough division to pick, depending on which team you're a fan of, I suppose. The Browns obviously have no shot. I don't think that the Steelers have a shot either. Aaron Rodgers is literally on his last legs. But let's go back up here real quick. We'll go ahead and take the Chargers. Let's just see what this ends up looking like, especially with that plus 350 to start out with. That's going to be interesting. But going down to the AFC North, I think you have to go with the Ravens, right? I think that the Ravens are an easy choice here. Steelers and Browns probably won't even be close to in contention. I actually like the Bengals a lot. While we're here, I think that I should go ahead and say that I do like Joe Burrow as a dark horse for the MVP. It's going to be tough without getting into the playoffs for him to win MVP. He's going to have the same exact problem that he had last year. But if they can sneak in, even as a wild card, I think that he really could be up there for MVP consideration. But as far as team success and who's going to win the division, I think it's pretty clearly going to have to be the Ravens there. We all know that the Ravens' biggest issue, just like with the Bills, is not in the regular season. With that being said, that brings us nicely to the AFC East, where, of course, we'll be taking the Bills. The Jets, I think, are comfortably there in fourth as far as odds. The Dolphins are an absolute disaster. That's going to be falling apart pretty soon. I think that Mike McDaniels probably is fired before the end of this season. And then New England. New England, a.k.a. Tennessee, circa 2018 Tennessee Titans North with Mike Vrabel, I think are going to be very, very improved. And overall, I think are kind of a scary team and a team to watch. But the Bills are not going to get dethroned this year by the Patriots and Drake May and Mike Vrabel. I think that, again, the Patriots being plus 525 to the Dolphins plus 800 and then all the way a drop down to plus 1900, I think that's about accurate for that division. So the next division that we are going to pick, did I miss the AFC? Let's see, we got AFC West, Northeast. Okay, so we got the AFC South next. This one is obviously, I can't even see the guys down there. Plus 750 is actually not crazy. I mean, you got a lot of, plus 1900 we just went over with the Jets. I'm going to have to add those back into the parlay in a second. But we got plus numbers on every team in this division. That's pretty interesting. Tennessee at plus 750 I think is a little bit unfair. The Colts are a disaster in my opinion. I don't know what is appealing about them at all, including in fantasy, by the way. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, even Tyler Warren. These are all players that you would think would be super, super popular. And they are for a lot of guys, but I have no desire to have them on my team because their quarterbacks are a disaster, and it's not a good situation. So I don't really understand the big jump from the Colts to the Titans. But that being said, I think I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I know that sounds no. I think that the sophomore slump for CJ Stroud being for the Texans was a little bit of an anomaly. I actually think that the sophomore slump was the anomaly, not his first year. So we're going to take the Texans, unfortunately. I do think the Titans definitely are not going to finish last. I will say that. And while we're here, and if we're going to be talking about the Titans outlook for just a second, I will say that I do think that Cam Ward is very likely to win Offensive Rookie of the Year for the AFC. I think that he has all the chances in the world to do that. He's going to be starting from day one. He's got some decent weapons. I know that people on the outside probably don't believe that, but I think as a group, they're not bad, especially for the style that he plays. And he did pretty well in the preseason. He's poised. He's an absolute dog. You love the mentality that he has. And so I really, really like Cam Ward a lot more now than I did when we drafted him, and certainly before we had the number one pick. And as it became obvious we were going to draft him, I was a little bit not thrilled about that. But the guy's growing on me pretty quickly, both in his game and off the field. So we're going to take the Texans to win that division, but I think the Titans probably end up second. This is also a guy who made a bet last year that they would not finish in the bottom of the division, bottom two, that they wouldn't finish in the bottom two, and they literally were the worst in the NFL and got the number one pick. So that being said, I'm going to take the Titans second for the Titans fans that are curious about that, but we are going to go with the Texans first. Let's go back up here and add these real quick. We had the Chargers, and we had the Ravens, and we had the Bills. So scrolling back up, we got the NFC East next. The NFC East has not repeated champion. I'm not sure exactly how. Point being is that the NFC East has not had the same champion for 2 years in a row in like a million years. It's some crazy stat going back like a dozen years or something that the NFC East has flipped champions every single year. So if that were to happen this year, it's not going to be the Cowboys and it's not going to be the Giants. So the pick there would be the Commanders, but I think that they are going to repeat this year and it's going to be the Eagles. Reality check. Yeah. I'm filming a video, fanatics. We chill. Anyway, so we're going to take the Eagles as the NFC East winner. Jaden Daniels is obviously formidable, and that team is in general, but I haven't had the chance to say this on a video yet, but I do have to say that Jaden Daniels does worry me still. His health, he is just so small. He's just so small. It looks like sonic rings get blasted out of him every single time he gets hit. He wasn't really hurt last year, although when he was hurt, it was a body injury with the ribs. But I don't think that he's necessarily going to, I can't predict some kind of crazy injury and wouldn't want to. So obviously this is everything being fully healthy, although I do think that that could be a problem for him. But even still, I think Philadelphia is just the best team in football. I think overall they have the best accumulation of talent. Plus they're coming back from a championship, so the chemistry is solidified there. They definitely lost some people on both sides of the ball, but Saquon back, Jalen back, AJ back, Devontae Smith back, Dallas Goedert, even Zach Bond on defense. They're nasty, and the defensive line is nasty as well. There was actually a report today that they tried to get Micah, which thank God Dallas actually had the wherewithal not to trade Micah to the Eagles. They still traded him to the Packers, who they've lost to in the playoffs for 3 straight years. Anyways, but at least they didn't trade him to the Eagles. But the Eagles are definitely going to win that division, in my opinion. So moving down to the NFC North, we got Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago. One of the most interesting divisions in all of football, I think. Green Bay being the favorite is a little bit surprising to me. I'm going to take the Lions. I think that the Lions are kind of clearly the best team in that division. I get the hype around the Packers, and the Packers should be very, very good and should make the playoffs as well. But the Lions should also be the favorites in this division, I think. I mean, they've had a great, great run over the last couple of years, and they did lose Aaron Glenn, and they did lose Ben Johnson, and I get it. And maybe time will prove that they were the big difference there. But Dan Campbell at the top, my second favorite, if not favorite, head coach in all of football. Would run through an absolute wall for that guy. I'm going to roll with him. I'm going to roll with Jared Goff. I'm going to roll with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to roll with Sam Laporta. And it definitely has nothing to do with me having Sam Laporta on my fantasy team. I really do think that I really do think that the Lions are the best team in a very, very, very interesting division. And while we're here, I also do want to mention as another kind of side prediction that I do think that J.J. McCarthy, I think he would qualify for comeback player of the year because he did have a season-ending injury. And like he wouldn't qualify for rookie of the year because he isn't a rookie, even though he didn't play a single game. So I'm pretty sure technically he would qualify for comeback player of the year. I think you keep an eye on J.J. McCarthy for comeback player of the year. He has the most weapons maybe of any guy in the league, especially coming in. One of the better setups that I've seen in a long time for any guy coming in. And so I do think that it is very possible that J.J. McCarthy is your comeback player of the year purely because he can just say, fuck it, Justin's down there somewhere enough times to have some pretty insane stats. So moving forward, we have the NFC West. We got the 49ers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks. The odds on that one are very close. Plus 160, plus 210, plus 400, plus 550. The Rams scare me a lot because of Stafford. Stafford's back, and backs are not things that are just going to get better throughout an NFL season. They were talking about he couldn't usually, the doctors that were handling his injury said that usually they would see patients with that kind of injury, and those patients would have trouble with things like picking up groceries or doing laundry around the house, right? You're talking about an NFL quarterback. So not really sure that we feel great about the Rams going in, at least I don't. Again, even in something like fantasy football, having Devontae Adams on that team doesn't really do a whole lot for me if the quarterback's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo for an extended period of time. One of the better backups probably in the league, yes, but do we really have the Rams at plus 210 here? If Matthew Stafford isn't the quarterback, I just don't think so. The 49ers, they are really, really counting on a resurgence year from them. I would also say comeback player of the year could be on this team. Christian McCaffrey would be probably my pick. Again, I really am not sure if J.J. McCarthy would qualify. If he qualifies, which I think he does, I would take J.J. McCarthy 1 and McCaffrey 2 as far as comeback player of the year. But if McCarthy for some reason doesn't qualify, I think that your comeback player of the year is probably Christian McCaffrey. This is coming from a guy who drafted Saquon number 1 in a single-year league. Not McCaffrey, and wouldn't have dared to draft McCaffrey, but I do think that I may be wrong about that one. So the Cardinals are an absolute dumpster fire. The Seahawks are a dumpster fire. Don't even know what they got going on there. Really in any way. Seahawks got rid of DK Metcalf. They got rid of Geno Smith. They're just, Mike McDaniel, singular. Not really sure what the plan is there. And if Stafford is hurt, this actually becomes a pretty easy pick. We're going to go 49ers. So NFC South, the last division I believe that we have not picked. NFC South winner, Tampa Bay, Falcons, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans. New Orleans, one of the worst teams in football. I have absolutely no idea what they're doing either while we're talking about organizations without a clear future. No quarterback there at all. They got Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara just in a chokehold with absolutely nothing to look forward to. So we're just going to scratch them out. Carolina, just by effect of how bad New Orleans is a huge drop from there at plus 420. But really, we're looking at the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Is Michael Penix elite? Is Michael Penix what they thought he was going to be? Is Kyle Pitts what he's supposed to be? Maybe, finally. I know at least one person who may be watching this that hopes so. But I am not so convinced. We're going to go Tampa Bay. Baker, as usual, flying under the radar. Baker, as usual, will be elite. I love Baker Mayfield. Can't get enough of the kid. Pillsbury Doughboy looking ass. But with that being said, I really do love Baker Mayfield in all seriousness. He's everything that Johnny Manziel was supposed to be whenever he came out just a few years before that. So with that being said, we're going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we have our division winners. We have in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers. In the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles. In the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. In the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens. In the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. In the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers. In the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the AFC South, the Texans, and just a little caveat that Cam Ward, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Titans finished second in that division. Yeah. That is going to be our picks for our division winners. I think some wild card teams to look out for. I should have three of those, in each division. Let's check that. Okay, so you're going to have 3 wild cards from each conference. We got our division winners that we just went through. I'm going to go with a wild card of the Chiefs. For sure. I definitely think that they're going to get in. I'm going to go with, in the AFC, also the Bengals will be my second wild card. And then I'm going to go with... We're going to go with 3 from one division. I think that the Broncos also get in. We're going to go 3 from one division. AFC West, Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers all get in, with the Chargers winning the division. And then we have Cincinnati as our other wild card in the AFC. In the NFC, we have our division winners. As I said, Philadelphia, Detroit. We're going to go Green Bay as a wild card. We're going to go Washington as a wild card. So that's 2. And then for our last wild card team... we're gonna go with. I think we're gonna go with. We'll go with the Rams. We'll go with the Rams. Hopefully Jimmy G can hold it down long enough. You know what? No, we're not going to go with the Rams. We're going to go with the Falcons. We're going to go with Michael Penix and the Falcons. That division is terrible, so they're going to beat up on a couple of bad teams in the Panthers and the Saints. And then if they can just split with the Buccaneers, and again, they need to be a good enough team to win some other games to get in, but we're going to go with the Falcons. So we have now our wild card teams. We got Green Bay, we got Washington, and we got Atlanta, and then we have our division winners, and that's pretty much it. If we want to throw out some rapid fire award winners here at the end, let's see. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow for the regular season MVP. If they could just win a couple more games, if they would have done it last year. Unfortunately, the regular season MVP is a quarterback award. So our offensive player of the year is immediately other guys, which makes a whole lot of sense. If Joe Burrow wins MVP, Jamar Chase is going to get Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. Let's see if we got JJ on there. Yeah, JJ is on there. So I'm going to take JJ, like I said. Aiden Hutchinson, I didn't even think about that. But I think it's going to be McCaffrey or McCarthy. Defensive Rookie of the Year, that's going to be Abdul Carter. That's not even difficult. Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Cam Ward. So we got him at plus 300. There's some of these futures I might have to come back and put in. I'm not going to lie to you. NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Michael Parsons is going to be the sexy pick there. And I think that's probably a decent one. Jalen Carter, also at the Eagles, I think is a good pick. So, yeah, that is a little rapid fire award winners there at the end. We have every division. We have playoff teams through the wild cards. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I left your team out. Let me know if I put your team in, but maybe not high enough, or I didn't think that they would have as successful as a season as you do. Just let me know all the feedback that you have. If you like this video, please like it. Please share it with a friend who would enjoy it as well. And please subscribe. It's the only thing that I ask, and it does help out more than you could possibly imagine here on YouTube. So please do that. I'm also on Spotify, and we're going to be figuring out exactly how to configure everything and the right flow and process of everything here on this channel. But if you've made it this far, I appreciate you more than you know. Please subscribe. Please send it to somebody who may like it, and we will see you next time. Oh, and I absolutely will be referencing these predictions, win or loss. But for the first time, I thank you for joining us for NFL Prediction Week. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully not as bad as the year that I picked Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to win the division, and he tore his Achilles in fucking 10 seconds. Hopefully not that bad. Okay, we'll see you later. Just one super quick note, that parlay that I just cooked up with all the division winners. Yeah, it's a plus 50,000. We will be putting $10 and checking back on that as well. Okay? All right. We'll catch you next time.